Wednesday at 12 o'clock? Well, sounds like we've got some lunchtime lacrosse here on ACC Network Extra. Salt Lake City, or as Utes fans like to call it, Salt Lac City, faces the Salt City. Utah and Syracuse battle for the first time ever here in the JMA Wireless Dome. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the broadcast booth with Adam Gotkin. I'm Joe Puccio. Adam, got a little East Coast, West Coast matchup today to split up everyone's workday.
This is such a fun matchup. The Utes really the prime example of the growth of the sport. The furthest West team, and not just a far West team, but a Power 5 team in that. And then Syracuse, of course, the most historic program in the sport. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
So the most historic team in the sport last time out had a heartbreaking loss against Maryland, but the midfielders really stepped up.
Yeah, they did, and they had to, because Joey Spallina was locked down by Ajax Zapatello. Luke Roa and Michael Leo are probably the two best dodgers on this Syracuse offense, and when they go up against short stick D middies, they do a great job of exploiting that matchup. And the great thing about the two of them is they're both so ambidextrous. They're lefties, they're righties, both of them can do it all.
7 combined goals between the two midfielders. Maryland put a lot of short sticks on them. But Adam, if Utah wants to have success on offense, who do they go to?
Well, it's got to be Tyler Bradbury, the Tewaaraton watch list guy. He's not your, stereotypical star attackman, just 5'8", 150, but he uses that small size to his advantage. He's going to slither through a defense. You'll lose him, but then he's got a cannon of a shot. He's got one of the faster shots that you'll see, and he does it in such a small frame. He's such an impressive player.
So let's find out the two men that have to stop all of these shots. On Utah's side, starting in between the pipes today, Colin Lenskold, the sophomore out of Wilton, Connecticut, was a 2023 ASUN all-freshman teamer, a save percentage of around 37% so far this season, and he's got a tall task going up against one of the best offenses in the country. And that offense stands in front of Will Mark, the starting goalie for Syracuse today. A goals against south of 12 and a save percentage of 53. The Tewaaraton Award watch lister from last year gets the start in between the pipes for Syracuse today. Gary Gait on the sidelines for Syracuse in his third season as head coach. After that Maryland game on Saturday, he said that he learned a lot about his team and that they can compete with some of the best teams in the country. And over on the Utah side, a program that is on the rise, third-year head coach Andrew McMinn, the 2022 and 2023 ASUN Coach of the Year, begins his 13th season as a Division I head coach, both with Utah and with Robert Morris. He spent 10 years with the Colonials before making his way to the Utes. Adam, this is such an intriguing matchup as we talked about, because Utah coming into this game 0-2, but their program made the NCAA tournament last year after winning the Atlantic Sun Conference, and they've had a tough non-conference schedule to start the season, and it's highlighted by right here inside the dome.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting off against Ohio State and Denver, two top 20 teams, and playing really well, leading in the fourth quarter against Ohio State, down by just 3 going into the final frame against Denver, but they're not satisfied. They're hoping for a win today.
Syracuse comes into this game at 2-1 overall, the number 6 team in the country. And as we mentioned, Utah 0-2 with losses to Denver. A loss last time out to Denver, and a season-opening loss in Columbus against Ohio State. Mason Cohn to take the opening face-off for Syracuse. Tyler Clokel for Utah. And it's Cohn who wins the first battle. We're underway. Hope you're enjoying your lunch break here on ACC Network Extra. Syracuse starts up on offense, the 6th best scoring offense in the country, 17 goals per game through 3 contests so far. Christian Muley has the ball. Syracuse's offense spread out to start this game. Michael Leo on the near sideline. He had that goal stripped away from him against Maryland. Would have been the game winner in overtime, but got called for a crease violation. Spallina, Muley loses an edge. Behind the back pass, successful. The Orange still on possession. Spallina, 29 points, leading the Orange. Passes to Leo. The ball falls out of his stick. Knocked down to the turf. Back to his feet. Loses the ball, and Spallina's there to clean it up. Utah with some tight defense early on here, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a noon start, I think. Just a little bit sloppy for Syracuse.
Spallina's shot stopped by Lenskold. Owen Hiltz there to keep the ball in play for SU. A fresh 60 on the shot clock.
And Joey Spallina's moving all over the place. He was really shut down last game. We've seen him on the wing already. We've seen him at X. We've seen him up top.
Sam English loses the ball. Utah causes a turnover. So how about that? The Utes make the first stop in this game. They're immediately down the other side of the turf. Ball batted around. Billy Dwan scoops it up for SU. Alexo, he's checked right at the restraining line. Boy, the Utes and the Orange have come up with some aggression. Away, shovels in front. Spillane shot, stopped by Lenskol.
What an unbelievable save there. Spillane tried the behind the back, and he had to. I don't know how in the world Lenskol got to that.
Mule and Spillane both with some creative passes and shots, but Utah sniffs it out. A flag's thrown as Utah starts up its offense.
Yeah, Carter Rice jumped offside, so Syracuse is going to have the chance to double the ball now because they can have 7 men on defense because they've already had the flag thrown.
Utah gets its preferred midfield lines out there. Zach White has the ball on the near sideline. Sophomore from Columbus, Ohio, below the cage. Tries a pass in front. There's that double that Adam mentioned. Utah still has possession. White scoops it up. Down low to Ryan Steins. He's got 4 goals so far this early season. Tied for the team lead for Utah. Surveying, Steins moves to his right. It's pushed down to the turf by Figueres. Bradbury's shot goes in the back of the net. Utah, with stellar ball movement, scores first.
You just can't give Tyler Bradbury that much space. Nick Kikemo slid away from him. You saw the man fall to the ground, and Kikemo, I think, kind of pounced on this situation, thought that he could have taken the turnover, but then you leave a man wide open about 13 yards out. That's a goal 10 times out of 10. Not the rotation there on the Syracuse defense, and I mean, how about a perfect start here for Utah to take the lead?
Yeah, the Utes made the stop on the defensive side, and then on offense, drawing that flag right on it. It didn't seem to faze the Utes. They kept moving the ball around, and then scored in the back of the net. Tyler Bradbury, the name we talked about early on, the 2-time All-ASUN first-teamer. He was the Offensive Player of the Year in the conference 2 years ago. Cohn wins his second face-off. He wants to do it himself. Instead, passes off to Mule, and Syracuse gets started. Wyatt Hoddle has the ball straight away. A little bit of a personnel change today for the Orange. Jake Stevens is out today with an upper body injury, which means that Hoddle fills his place on the second line midfield. Luke Rowan gets double teamed, somehow navigates through and passes to Mule. Spillane has the ball, goal line extended, pass in front, and a score! A quick stick from Jackson Burtwhistle. That's the game up in 1.
The interesting thing here, though, is we've already seen Mason Cohn win both faceoffs early. I think if Syracuse can dominate possession, they'll put themselves in a good spot to win this game.
The 22, Joey Spillane. That's Burtwhistle from Salina. Time to go. Full goal and Cohn for the faceoff.
Mason Cohn 3 for 3 now. That was a rather clean win as well. Oh, I beg your pardon. That's John Mullen, the backup face-off specialist, who hustles off the field. So Cohn is 2 for 2. And John Mullen 1 for 1 to start this game.
Yeah, Mullen's the backup, but his stats wouldn't show that. He has been a stud so far this year.
SU back on the attack. Sam English, Princeton transfer. Feeds down low to Spillane. Short stick on 22. That looks like a long pull there on Spillane. That's out straight away. With the sideliner stopped by Lenskold. And the Orange win the battle.
Something interesting is the long stick that's on Spillane is not Joey Boylston, not the first-team All-ASUN guy. You'd expect he'd be the man who picks up the star, but it's not him. Boylston's really staying on the crease.
The Orange back in the goal column. Quick restart. And the Orange take advantage.
where Michael Leo had so much success against Maryland. When he has a shorty on him, he's going to get the work done. He's a former attackman, so he's got all the skill in the world. The second that he has any space, he's going to fire a shot off, and perfect placement there. The five-hole in between the legs. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Michael Leo, after the Maryland game, said it was a physical contest against the Terrapins, but that's the kind of style of lacrosse they want to play. You can see there, he was checked by the short stick coming from the near sideline, whipped a shot on cage, and it found the back of the net.
Yeah, you see a lot of SU guys like that. You think about Joey Spallina, so many just bull dodgers, players who understand that to create space, you need to lose that space at first and then bounce off of it.
A hold on Utah, so Syracuse is back on offense once again. At least the Utes are efficient. They're 1 for 1 on offensive possessions. But the Utes haven't had the ball since scoring the opening goal of this game. Roa flies in with a speed dodge, but his shot misses off.
You know, it's interesting. We mentioned this earlier in Wyatt Hoddle taking Jake Stevens' spot on the second line middies. He's also taking his spot on the faceoff. A little bit surprising considering his size, but I just guess with his speed, Gary Gate wants that danger of he can just get to any ground ball.
Spallina to Roa. Bounces, but misses. Anything different from Syracuse's offense so far, Adam, or is this just the same old Cuse?
It's just more aggressive. It's dodging whenever you get the chance.
Muley loses the ball, but picked up below the cage by Birtwistle. Already one goal for number 9 for Syracuse so far in this game. Sends it up top to Hiltz. Spallina backs down his defender. Scanning for options. Feed in front is knocked down, and the Utes cause another turnover. Justice Peterson, the senior midfielder, crosses the restraining line, but the pass is off. Alexo scoops it up. Race it to the offensive zone. Muley, he whiffs, and Lenskold scoops it up rather easily.
You got to convert on opportunities like that. That should have been an easy goal. Muley just lost it.
Now the Utes bring it into the offensive zone for their second offensive possession of the game. Man, that is a squandered opportunity. Muley had the ball right in front. Just had to place it in the back of the net.
We've seen a couple of these so far for Syracuse. Just maybe not fully in it with this being a noon start and coming off of a game that was intense as Maryland on Saturday.
Cody Hart, junior midfielder for the Utes. The left side, scores in the top left corner. Will Mark couldn't get above his right shoulder. And the Utes knocked the game up at 2.
That was just a laser from Cody Hart. A great job initially to create separation from Vinny Trujillo, and then a perfect shot right under the bar. Will Mark just can't get to it in time. A perfect placement, a ton of speed on it, ton of power. And this Utah team just so efficient on offense so far.
Coach McMinn said, the offense is the pride and joy of the Utes. Coming into this game, only 8 goals per game in the first 2 contests, the bottom of 15 in the NCAA. But what they're showing here, Adam, is just when they get those opportunities in those clear shooting lanes, they're going to shoot.
This is one of the best offenses in the country last season, dealing with a couple of injuries right now. Coach McMinn kind of just said it's going to take some time for his team to gel and just figure things out with some of the injuries that they have.
Michael Leo owns that right wing for Syracuse. Swings it all the way around to Spallina. Screen for the right. Spallina. Double team, passes off. Almost too quick passing for Syracuse, but English has it. Racing to the net. Passes to Muley. Wraps around and scores. When you double team, there's one man open, and that time it was Christian Muley. 3-2 Cuse. It's back and forth in the dome. The Utes and the Orange going back and forth early on here inside the dome in an early contest on a Wednesday. And in the lacrosse world, the polls come out on Monday, so these are rather fresh polls we got here. Syracuse coming into this game number 6 in inside Lacrosse, only moving down one spot after that loss to Maryland.
Yeah, it's rare you see a team move down a spot but gain more votes. That's what happened with Syracuse. Even though they fell to Maryland, I think that a lot of the national media is starting to truly believe in this Orange squad, believe that it is a top team in the country, because there were still some doubters going into that Maryland game, and yes, it was a loss, but at the end of the day, it proved that Syracuse belongs in that picture.
And it wasn't just a loss. Michael Leo scored that goal in overtime, gets waved off for a crease violation. Maryland goes down and scores the very next possession. So the Orange were right there. They had Maryland and the opportunity to win right here inside the Dome. Instead, on first loss of the season for Syracuse, now 3-1 on the season. And last year, the Orange 8-7, 1-5 in ACC play. And Owen Hiltz wants to make the Orange go 4-1. Screaming down the left wing, the Canadian makes it 4-2 Cuse.
It's so important for Owen Hiltz to get involved early in a game, for him to get going in the first quarter, because sometimes if he doesn't, he kind of falls off towards the end. But there, the nice fake, almost lost the angle at the last second, but gets the goal. And this Syracuse offense is just starting to hum after some early turnovers.
Owen Hiltz with 17 points on the season. He had just 1 point against Maryland last time out, 1 assist. But he has continued his streak of at least 1 point in every game that he's played in college. That streak is now north of 30 games.
Joe, Utah's going with 3 pulls on the faceoff right now. After losing so many at the start, they had to change something.
DePonio almost scoops it up for Utah. Still ping-ponging around all the way to Nick Kakema. The Orange control, not after. It's swatted out of his stick. So now Utah will control, and they step on the gas. Stein's shot followed up by Mark.
That's the type of aggression that I like to see, though, from this Utah squad, especially after giving up a couple of goals, to go right at it.
That's how Utah scored its last goal. Getting the ball right after the draw and whipping a shot on Cage. But Will Mark makes his first save of the day, and now we see the Cuse go back on offense. Wyatt Hoddle, the freshman, can't find the back of the net. Lenskold dropped his stick to make the save. Utah this season, the third best team in the nation with a 97% clear percentage. They only failed 1 clear so far this year. There's another successful one. Ryan Steins controls for Utah. Passes to MJ McMahon. 81 career points. That's the 4th most in Utah history. McMahon at X. Tight face guard by Carter Rice, the short stick. Swim dodge. Back pedals. And now looks for a teammate.
That's great help defense, because initially McMahon beat his man there.
Utah has some crafty scorers. You mentioned it, Adam, right? Top scoring team in the A-Sun last year. Pass falls out of Hyde's stick. Carter Rice knocked down to the ground. Baseball swung out. And Matt Wright begins the clear for SU. Well, even if Utah loses possession, they have those attackers swinging right away at those defensive players for Syracuse.
Well, that's going to be so important in this game, because the possession battle is going to be won by the Orange because of the domination at the faceoff X. So you got to be as aggressive as possible on the ride.
And speaking of domination, Carter Rice just ran through 3 Utah players.
That's fun for a D, Mitty.
Oh, man. It looked like SU was dead to rights. Muley below the net. Oh, an errant pass falls out of Spallina's stick, moving without the ball. A costly mistake for 22.
I've just seen a couple of these issues so far, prevalent throughout this entire first quarter for the Orange.
Turnover battle even so far, as Utah successfully clears with Tyler Shifko. Scans his way in front, shot misses high. Stein's the closest one to the end line. We've got a crease violation. Carson Moyer, the senior midfielder. Also a helmet violation with his bucket falling off. Brand new rule in college lacrosse this year that they must leave the field after their helmet falls off. So Syracuse will have the ball when we restart play. So if a helmet falls off, play stopped immediately, and Carson Moyer now, he can't come back on the field until the next dead ball.
Yeah, that can be a good amount of time because that means the ball's got to go out of bounds, can't just be turnovers. He's got to wait until that dead ball.
And Carson Moyer, he's got 4 goals this year. Sam Alexo's got goals too. The 3rd long pole goal of the year. The senior LSM strings it and makes it 5-0 Syracuse. 5-2 Syracuse, I should say.
It's so rare to find an LSM like Sam Alexo who has the power and the accuracy on his shot like he does. You give him any room in the world and he will place it perfectly and it will be a rocket. You see that perfect shot, offside hip, so hard for a goalie to stop. You rarely see a tackman place a shot like that, let alone an LSM like Sam Alexo.
3rd goal of the season for Alexo, and that is the 12th goal of his career. Definitely not Sam's first rodeo. Mason Cohn's been a revelation so far this season for Syracuse. Gets tripped down to the ground. Syracuse wants a call, and they don't get it. Cohn just couldn't keep the ball on his stick. So Utah heads back on offense. Coming on the field right now for Syracuse, Nathan Levine, Adam. He came in against Maryland, played some substantial minutes against the Terps.
Yeah, didn't really see much action at all in important times in the first 3 games, but against the Terps, he was one of the top D middies. He's such a physical guy. He's got great size, great speed. I think as he just continues to play more, he's going to get a lot more comfortable and can be one of the top D middies on this squad.
Bradbury couldn't find some space, so gives it off to his teammates. Moyer, who lost his bucket early on back in the game, passes down low to Steins. Rotates on Figueres. Still to his strong side. Bounces in between Mark's legs. What a crafty finish for Tyler Bradbury. The Syracuse lead is cut to 2.
And that was a great defensive play there by Figueres. Physical, he almost gets his stick in the way too, pushing as the shot gets off, but I love that bounce shot. It's almost like a lost start sometimes, but Ryan Steins understands that he's got to elevate so he would have any room for his hands to have a lot of power, and then he bounces it past Will Mark so hard to stop. It's one of the things that makes Steins so special. ASUN Freshman of the Year last season.
Yeah, ever since Stein came to campus, he's been one of Utah's best players. He scored in 16 of the Utes' 17 games last season. And as a freshman, he scored over 2 goals a game. That was the 5th best by a freshman in the country. Mason Cohn wins that face-off. Passes to Spallina close to the restraining line. No struggle there for Mason Cohn as the Orange are back on offense. Ryan Stein's 5th goal of the season. The Utes trail 5-3 as we get closer and closer to the end of this first quarter. Leo cuts to the middle. Looked like he lost the ball there, didn't he? One-handed feed goes above, hilts his stick. Will it roll out? Yes. Another costly mistake for the Orange.
We haven't seen this at all this season from Syracuse in any of the first 4 games. These issues with stick skills. I'm shocked to see it today.
And speaking of miscues, there's another one.
You got to go here.
Thompson screams in. Has some room. But they don't get a shot off. The errant pass over Hilt's stick was Syracuse's 5th turnover. And that pass out of bounds from Utah was the Utes' 6th turnover. Want to chalk that one up to a Wednesday 10 a.m. Mountain Time for the Utes. Ball skids in front, and Lenskold picks it up. Muley stepped in the crease.
Spallina had a shorty on him that whole possession. It just seems like stuff is off here for Syracuse. Usually when you got the shorty on Spallina, you want to just see him go at it and dodge.
Ball falls out and rolls out of bounds. Pass intended for Luke Haley, the sophomore midfielder. Utah, 2 straight unsuccessful clears. Owen Hiltz near the doorstep. He scores! The hidden ball trick works to perfection. Fooled us here in the booth as Finn Thompson scores and makes it 6-3 Orange. That's how crafty this offense is, Adam.
I got to take another look. I lost that there.
I was staring at Hiltz the whole time.
I thought that was Hiltz the entire. You'll see them try it all the time. Almost every single possession, they'll say, why not here? So you see, Finn Thompson has it the entire time. And credit to our cameraman for keeping it on him. Everyone's got all the attention here on Hiltz, and then Finn Thompson almost out of the shot, right through the legs of Christian Mullet. That almost hit Mullet. No one saw it coming. That's as easy of a goal as it'll ever get. Just wide open net. Just put it in.
Let's say you're Christian Mullet and you just ring that shot off your right shin.
That's brutal. It hurts, too.
Yeah, that would probably leave a huge egg tomorrow morning. Well, given the time of the game, probably a huge egg tonight. Gary Gates' offense known for its unique, crafty style. The hidden ball trick doubles up Syracuse's lead.
Yeah, and with some of the issues that the Orange have had on offense, it's kind of crazy to see that they have 6 goals in this quarter.
Billy Dwan's pass to Mullet, successful. Now look at this. Hiltz, he scores on a wide open net. Utah tried to up the ante, but Syracuse's patience works to success. 7-3 Orange. Let's watch this, Adam, and see how this all develops.
Yeah, the Utes are going to be so aggressive here. The 10-man ride. You see, the goal is all the way up about 30 yards high at cage because that's what this Utah team is going to have to do to get possession. But, of course, that leaves men wide open right near the net. Owen Hiltz, when he has an open net, he's going to score that any day of the week.
You know, it's funny. Andrew McMinn, the head coach for Utah, said, there isn't a huge emphasis on the face-off. We want to make stops on the defensive side to get the ball back. But now the Utes are rolling with a 10-man ride. And then you saw at the end of that play, Lenskold was telling his defense, hey, move up a little bit. They're trying to figure out ways to get the possession back.
And I think with some of the turnovers that Syracuse has had already, that's why we're seeing even more aggression.
Cohn wins the face-off. And Syracuse can hold for final possession if it wants to. 24 seconds in between the last 2 goals for Syracuse. After we've seen some sloppy offense from Syracuse in this half, they really honed things in here in the final minute.
Yeah, I don't think this score is fully reflective of how this game has gone. I think there's a lot that the Orange want to improve on. But, I mean, if anything, that's a good thing, right? If you cannot be playing your A game and score 7 goals in 1 quarter.
Last chance for the Cuse. Leo, pass in front. Mullet behind the back, rings off the pipe. SU still with possession. Leo loses the handle, knocked down to the ground. And what's the call? Push. 2 seconds left. SU's just going to ring a shot. Mullet misses high, and that ends the quarter. A late rush for Syracuse to the end of the first quarter, but the Orange were successful. A 7-3 score as we finish the first 15 minutes. Even the long sticks getting on the board as the Orange are up 4. Second quarter coming up next. The University of Utah men's lacrosse program making its first trip to the JMA Wireless Dome. Adam, it's a young program, one that's on the rise. The Utes, 6 years into their existence as a D1 program, they made the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, a really impressive year last season and a solid start to this year. 2 losses to begin and losing here, but they're playing 3 top 20 teams. Coach Andrew McMinn said to us before the game, we want to play the best teams in the country because that's what we aspire to be. I love that mindset. We want to be the best, so we got to beat the best. And testing his team, testing his program early on, I think is so important.
So it is cool to be able to play in this historic venue. He said it's all part of the experience. So Utah in 2019 getting the bump up to Division I. Now 6 years later, getting to play in the JMA Wireless Dome against the number 6 team in the country. That just shows you the fast growth that the Utes have had. We start the second quarter with a quick shot. Whistle sound as the ball goes to the back of the net. They call a hold on Syracuse. Rather, no, a hold on Utah. So the Orange will keep possession. Boy, John Mullen won the draw rather easily. Flew down to Utah's goal. The Orange have not lost a beat.
Yeah, you rarely see a referee point down to the crease and then say, it's staying here.
Yeah. So Syracuse can now slow things down if they want to, or floor the gas pedal. Spallina with a long stick on him. Swings it around. Leo trying to create some space on the short stick. Leo sends it up top to Hiltz. Whistles sound and a turnover.
Spallina just stepped in the crease as he was moving through the offense. It's just these little miscues, stuff that you don't expect to see from this Orange offense, that in a noon start we're seeing.
Utah clears successfully with a long stick. Nico DePonio. And now whistles fly in from the far side.
I mean, man, just a million whistles that we've seen here.
Starts and stops throughout this first minute and the second. Andrew McMinn and Gary Gate both with arms to their sides. So through all that chaos, Utah has possession.
I think the even crazier about how this game has looked is the Maryland game on Saturday had almost like a May, April feel to it. There was very little sloppiness, but today we're seeing so much of it.
Stein's shot misses. Carson Moyer will restart the offense. Carson Moyer, a product of the Hill Academy, same institution that Owen Hiltz attended. Below the cage, swing it to McMahon, a swim dodge to the doorstep. Mark makes the stop. Utah still on offense. Cody Hart attacks, and his shot misses high.
And this Utah offense going right after the short sticks every single time, every single possession. Pick out the shorty and dodge right at him.
The long sticks for Syracuse. Figueres, Dwan, and Kakemo. Alexa, the long stick midfielder there, locked up. The Utah attacker, which allowed Will Mark to make the stop.
That's a weird-looking save. It looked like it was going to be routine on the shot, not much power. He fell back into the goal, but at the end of the day, he stopped it, so that's what's important.
Luke Roa races past midfield through some tight Utah defense. SU fans want to hold, but there's no call.
That's what you want to see from Roa. Without Stevens on this second line, I think there were some questions coming into this game of what would the clearing look like, but a great job there from Roa.
Spallina got some space, but Lenskold made the stop. Syracuse setting up picks for 22, who doesn't have a goal yet in today's game.
Yeah, his shot just doesn't seem like it's at where we're normally seeing it. Not that much power on that one, just went low to low.
Bradbury swung all the way up to DeMarzo at the top. The junior midfielder to the right side. A shot misses high from Carson Moyer.
And Jackson Burwhistle stuck back on defense right now. So we've said that Utah is attacking the short stick defensive middies. Now imagine what's going to happen with Burwhistle on the field.
Let's see where Utah goes.
Hoddle stuck out there also.
So the Utes have the matchup they want. Can they score? Bradbury feeds in front. Shot misses off to the right side, but the Utes win the race. Off-ball movement. Jordan Hyde had the shot for Utah. Well, Mark's been tested here early on. So is the Syracuse defense. Long stick, Matt Wright gets separated by a pick. 20 to shoot for the Utes. Steins, straight away. Stop. Popcorn's in the air. Figueres picks it up. And out here come the Cuse. Billy Dwan, the sophomore defender. Pass to a fellow long stick. Whistle sound. And Syracuse with another costly mistake.
Yeah, just offside there. Trujillo didn't realize that they're already 6 men forward.
Seemed like SU had the momentum there as well with both Dwan and Kakemo. Now Utah back on offense. The Utes, 6 shots on goal. 3 of them have found the back of the cage. As for Syracuse, 13 shots on goal and 7 goals. High-flying Utes attack. McMahon in the middle. Stopped by Mark. Tried to go to his right side, but the active saves leader in the NCAA comes up with a clutch stop.
And that was a good offensive move, but Will Mark is one of the best goalies in the country, so he's the type of guy who you can rely on to make saves, even when you have some defensive breakdowns, because Matt Wright left way too much room there for the shooter.
Gary Gate has said early on in the season that sometimes the defense in front of Will Mark creates some shooting spaces that aren't favorable to him. And so one thing that Coach Gate and defensive coordinator John O'Dearna are both looking for is for the defense to, if they are going to give up shots, which happens, they have to give up the quality shots that Will Mark can see. Quick stick, almost too quick from Finn Thompson. And now let's see Utah try to clear. Utah's been set up pretty easily on offense as of late. Couldn't clear that time, and Spallina takes advantage of it. After several turnovers, the orange ride forces a turnover. And Spallina scores to make it 8-3 Orange.
Those are just the type of mistakes you can't make in a game like this. From day one, you learn when you're clearing, don't throw the ball into the middle of the field because, well, it leads to opportunities like this, and Syracuse just takes advantage of it. You can't pass it right in front of the net because even if it's caught, there could be a guy on the ball. When the goalie's out of the cage, you just cannot let that happen.
Right, because Spallina scored there, but he also had Christian Moulet to his right side for a potential quick stick. But Spallina said, you know what, I want to score my first goal of this game. And he does so successfully. Syracuse's team leader in goals with 12 on the season.
It's Mullen and Pavetta for the faceoff.
So the Utes here at this faceoff X go with a long stick. And it doesn't work.
And Mullet again against the long stick. I think Gary Gate really likes that matchup with John Mullen's strength to put him against the LSM, the guy who's taking the face off, because Mason Cone is incredible, but John Mullen is one of the strongest guys on this team, probably the strongest guy on this team. It's what makes him so good.
John Mullen comes into this game 17 of 23 at the face-off X. And so far today, he's 2 for 3. Mason Cone, the starting Fogo, by the way, 9 for 9. Looks like Syracuse has figured out its face-off problem.
That's unreal.
6th best mark in the country. Spallina shot stopped in front and scooped up by Luca Pavetta, the long stick freshman. Coach McMinn said that Pavetta, he won't light up the box score, but he is such a pivotal part of this Utah team. Comes from an athletic family as well. His brother Nick, a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox.
It's not easy to come in as a true freshman and start on the defensive end, one of the harder positions to transition to from high school to the college level. But he's done a really solid job.
Flying in from the sideline, Will Overly has the ball. Tracked down by a short stick. Utah wraps it around. Charging in front. McMahon loses the ball. And it's picked up by Jake Spallina, Joey's brother.
We haven't heard much of him today. We were seeing a lot of Jake Spallina in the first 3 games. We continue to see this rotation on the Syracuse short stick D-middies with the injuries that we've seen this year. It's still a unit that Gary Gate and John O'Dearna are trying to figure out.
These young guys, they're playing in high-leverage situations. We mentioned how some midfielders were going in against Maryland last time out. That's the number 4 team in the country that always contends for the national championship.
But this is the time of year where you want to give those guys experience. You want to make sure that everyone's ready when April comes, when those ACC games come. Because, yes, Maryland's important, but at the end of the day, you've got much bigger games down the road.
English to Thompson. He scores! Thompson rips it and sticks it to give the Cuse a 9-3 lead.
That's key. Finn Thompson has not looked like himself as of late. His shot just not there, but a ripper from 10 yards out. Perfect placement and the power on it. The Orange offense is rolling.
Yeah, there was no way that Lenskold could get there in time.
It is not easy to wear this number in Central New York. There's so much pressure around it. You see the pals, you got Gary Gate, but Joey Spallina has done it all.
And Joey Spallina, he has it all, and he also has his 100th career point on this goal. It was a caused turnover, the stellar ride from SU, Thompson to Spallina. 2 men in the same recruiting class link up for Spallina's 100th.
Out of all of the crazy things that we've seen from Joey Spallina in his career, the behind the backs, I think it's kind of funny that that's his 100th point. It's just, a classic,
yeah,
fake,
right.
Easy goal.
Joey Spallina, he had 10 points against Manhattan. That no one has scored 10 points in a single game for SU since 2000. Former #1 recruit in the land, really living up to all the hype. For the first time, we've got quite a face-off battle here. And Utah wins it. Mason Cone loses to Tyler Clokel. Utah had some long sticks go up against Johnny Mullen, but in that last battle, Adam, that was the 2 best face-off men going at it, and Tyler Clokel wins his first one.
You don't see those tie-ups that often anymore with all the rule changes around the face-off. Gives you almost a flashback.
So the Utes are on offense. Ryan Steins rotating to his strong side. Dishes to McMahon. Cody Hart, face guarded by a short stick. Back pedals, dishes out to McMahon. Moyer. His shot misses off to the right side. Got some space off a spin. Utah still in possession. Bradbury. Coming in today's game with 4 points in 2 games. Moyer, his shot misses way off to the left. But Bradbury there to win the race.
Moyer was just trying to speed it up. He saw Carter Rice was on his way and just tried to get the shot off before there was any pressure.
Junior midfielder Cody Hart. Straight away, his shot swallowed up by Will Mark. Wanted to go to the bottom right corner, but Will Mark dropped the stick and he was there. Billy Dwan brings the ball into the offensive zone for Syracuse, and now we see the Orange on offense. Hiltz gets between 2 defenders. He's straight away wide open. No-look shot. Tipped in front. You can see Hiltz, man, he's looking up to the dome roof saying, I had that opportunity right there.
There's been a couple of those today for Syracuse already, just opportunities that have been lost. I still think it's unbelievable that this team has 9 goals already.
Roa to Muley. Lenskold makes the stop.
I mean, that's another one. You think that Muley's going to score on a shot like that.
The quick sticks in front. Lenskold read it the entire way. And his save allows Utah to get possession. You mentioned how you're shocked, Adam, that Syracuse has 9 goals and is up 9-3. Is that because this turnover battle's even right now at 9 aside?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just a little bit of sloppiness that we haven't seen from this team so far this year. But again, I think it says a lot that you can be up by 6 against a good Utah team, even with all of these issues.
Andrew McMinn burns a timeout.
Hey, that's a long time ago at this point. Some of these guys were, 4 or 5 years old then. So it's been a while since the Orange have gotten one of those banners up.
Anyone have a DVD of those games? I was gonna say VHS, but I didn't want to insult everyone. Tyler Bradbury passes, and Syracuse's defense is strong. Sam Alexo tried to box out the Utes. And it works successfully. Some late pushing and shoving. But no call from the officials.
Just a late hit there by Billy Dwan. I don't think it was intentional at all. Just with that whistle, it was a second later. He was already on his way. I don't think any ill intentions.
MJ McMahon as well was pushing and shoving with him out of bounds. The officials saw right through it. The Orange back on offense. 22 shots in this game. Speaking of 22s, 9 goals so far for SU. First line midfield out, Leo, English, and Thompson. Leo backs down. His left is sidewinder, finds the back of the net. Double team, no problem. SU up 10-3.
Michael Leo's shot has just improved so much over the offseason. The power and just the quick release makes it almost impossible to stop. He doesn't even really fully have his feet set here. He's in an awkward position. That's just straight upper body strength. The torque to just get all of his power behind it and beat the keeper. You kind of see him there motioning. He was not in a good spot to take that shot. It was a weird one. His hips weren't fully into it, but just so much power.
Do you think it's because Bryce Horton, the short stick midfielder, and Nico DePonio, the long stick defenseman, created that short little shooting space for Leo to score?
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a screen also in front of the goalie. Lenskol didn't have a great look at it, so he has that late reaction time, and it makes it even harder to save.
The officials listened to the screams from Syracuse's bench there. A trip, and Syracuse is back on offense. Matt Wright doesn't see a short stick behind him, but doesn't matter. The UNC transfer coming in this year for Syracuse as a long stick midfielder. 57 games with the Tar Heels, and he announced back in June that he would make the switch over to the Cuse.
We've seen a lot of rotation on the defensive end for Syracuse. Also, Steven Schmidt has got some run at LSM, the Mount St. Mary's transfer, who was the LSM of the year in this conference last season.
Speaking of transfers, here's the Lehigh Mountain Hawk, Christian Muley. In front to Hiltz. Spalina whacks the ball away from DePonio. Knocked down to the turf. Can DePonio get the ball? No, he cannot. Muley's got it as his stick helicopters down to the turf. And Gary Gates says, you know what? Let's just call a timeout here.
Yeah, that was a physical ground ball battle. I was kind of shocked there was no push in the back on Joey Spalina. It looked like he got hit pretty hard and fell to the ground. Gary Gate was very upset. You see it again here. Just got pushed in the back at the last second. Spalina was upset with it, but a good job from him to stick with the ground ball and not just throw your hands up in the air and complain about the no call, but to continue battling and end up with possession so you can call the timeout.
The guys like Spalina, the #1 recruits from Long Island, he was interested in going to that lacrosse hotbed. For a while, he had his eyes set on Syracuse. He had number 22 hanging in his bedroom. But Utah, they can sort of monopolize the western part of the United States and in Canada. Lenskol, the Connecticut product, makes a save in the top right corner.
The important thing, though, is also getting some of these guys from the East Coast, because the East Coast talent is that good. You can't just rely on the guys from the West. So to get someone like Lenskol, who is a good high school product out of Connecticut, a great state in lacrosse, I think is really important for this team.
Utah has 21 different states represented on its roster. Syracuse has 13 different states. But again, that's not counting Canadian provinces. They can also add up to both teams' rosters. McMahon, near side Moyer. Mark didn't know where it went. All he knows now is that Caden Cole has the ball, and his team is beginning to clear. Carter Rice swatted it from behind. He loses the ball, and the Utes scoop it up on the far side. Jake Spalina, with the last-second effort, pushed Moyer out of bounds. So Syracuse has possession. Jake Spalina's had a couple of great plays on the clear so far today for SU.
Yeah, he absolutely has. Every single game, we continue to see a couple moments where he looks like a star player. Just a freshman. Not many were expecting him to get much time, but because of a couple injuries in that room, he's had to step up, and he's done really well in those opportunities.
Jake Spallina, the number 49 recruit in the country. Not only is his brother Joey here, but his brother of the same age, Brett Spallina, is here as well, the defenseman. And don't forget about his sister as well, joining the women's lacrosse program. Michael Leo slows things down for Syracuse, something that you hardly ever say for a Syracuse lacrosse game, especially in this one between two high-flying offenses. His pass to Hiltz is incomplete. Boxing out the long stick, Joey Boylston.
Looks like they're playing hockey out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, the toe drag works to perfection. Didn't know the Utes had a hockey program. Stein's pass falls out of the midfielder's stick. Utah will burn its final timeout with 11 seconds to play in this half. Seconds to play. Steins begins for Utah. Face guarded by a long stick, Samalexo. Stein spins to his right, creates some space. Behind the back, shot goes wayward. Out of bounds with 1 second left. Might not be enough time. They try a last-second feed, and it ends up in Will Mark's stick. Syracuse up 10-3 at the half. Chicken tenders. We've got our French fries. At least I wish. Starting to get a little hungry up here. It is 1:14 Eastern. But I bet our friends out in Utah right now are just getting their coffee, getting their pancakes ready to go, and hoping that their team can cut into the 7-goal deficit.
Yeah, it's all going to start at this face-off. The Orange have dominated, to say the least, winning 13 of 15.
Mason Cone looking for another win. The ball swatted out of his stick as it rolls towards Syracuse's defensive zone. Mason Cone's got it and somehow gets through 5 Utes. Oh, that was incredible. How did Mason Cone get through all those players?
It's what makes him so special, the fact that he's not just going to win the initial clamp, but after that, he's then going to do damage. Looks like he took a late hit there on the arm. He's feeling it, and Garrett Gate is almost halfway on the field. Very upset.
Cone grabbing at his right arm as he heads to the sideline. Battle scars, totally worth it. The Orange have possession.
He's a hockey player. He's used to this.
Michael Leo passes to Sam English on the far side. English with no points so far today. He gets swallowed up, loses the ball, but then scoops it up off the turf. Scanning for options, finds Spallina. Flat-footed, passes to Thompson, and he misses. Thompson couldn't get the quick stick finish. Spallina keeps possession alive for SU.
Those are the type of shots that you want to get Finn Thompson. He's got that box across background. He's used to shooting on the small goals. Usually you'll see him hit the cage.
Spallina read all the way by Lenskold.
Yeah, just high to high. If you're Joey Spallina, you got to mix it up on the shots. We haven't seen him do much of that today. We've seen a lot of high to high, a lot of low to low. It's not really going to work against Lenskold, who is one of the better goalies in the country. I mean, he started every game as a freshman last year, was ace on all freshman team, and he looked really good to start this season, even though he's given up 10 goals.
His save turns into some offense for Utah. Ryan Steins picks it up on the near sideline, the sophomore attacker from Cary, North Carolina. Steins with a goal and an assist, the only Ute with more than 1 point today. He gets the ball whacked out of his stick. The long stick midfielder, Samalexo, to Sam English, who races into the zone. Right in front, his pass to Spallina, intercepted. Utah can't keep possession on the clear, so Syracuse will take over. But a solid defensive stop from the Utes, Adam.
The Orange just kind of telegraphing the passes, making it a little bit too obvious, and because of that, the Utes are able to get into those passing lanes, either knock it down or just steal it clean like that.
Billy Dwan, a sophomore, passes to another sophomore, Finn Thompson. No goals yet here in this second half. We'll see if that changes with SU on offense right now. The third best offense in the ACC behind Notre Dame and Duke to start the season. Third best in the ACC, but sixth best in the country. Just shows you how good the Atlantic Coast is this year. Luke Roa, his shot right into Lensgold's stick. He didn't even have to move. A quick clear to Carson Moyer. Here comes Utah. The long stick Pavetta's shot tipped away by Mark. Hyde corrals it for Utah. Solid fake pass inside. A clean look from Carson Moyer. But Bradbury's there to restart possession. Utah has been slamming on the gas pedal when they have the ball.
And they have to. When you don't have that many possessions, you got to take advantage of what you do have.
And Jay McMahon, the senior from Florida, passes all the way to Tyler Shifko. Steins.
Wyatt Hoddle stuck on the field again here.
Playing for the injured Jake Stevens. That's a Waratah watch lister. Will Mark eats a shot.
I'll tell you what, for Wyatt Hoddle's size, one of the smallest guys on the field, and someone who is not a two-way midi at all, he's been pretty impressive. Utah hasn't really gone at him, and when they haven't had much success.
We talked about it back in the first half where a lot of the young midfielders have been put in positions that they aren't accustomed to. Obviously, being freshmen, the college game is new to them, but Syracuse played a lot of freshman midfielders in high-leverage situations, including Maryland last time out.
And the midfield is the hardest position to adjust to, moving from the high school to the college level, the speed of the game and everything around it. But Hoddle, in the limited time that we've seen him, has been really good.
And speaking of really good, Colin Lensgold has come out with a fire in the second half.
And again, a high shot there. If you're Syracuse, you got to start mixing it up. Mix up those angles.
Utah can't keep possession. Figueres shovels it to Dwan, and SU clears. How can the Orange solve the sophomore netminder?
You got to get better shots off. I like that Syracuse is being aggressive here and taking them, but there's no point in just taking a shot if it's going to go right into the goalie's stick.
Owen Hiltz creates some space. His shot lands right in his stick.
You see again there, high to high. That's just too easy.
A little bit of an errant pass to Joey Boylston, but Utah still corrals. Colin Lensgold, 13 saves on 23 shots, a 57% save percentage so far today. Justice Peterson breaks through 3 Orange players, now is into the restraining zone. His shot misses, and Will Mark wins the race. You can see a fist pump from Syracuse's netminder as he begins the clear for the Cuse. Will Mark 8 saves on 11 shots, a 73% save percentage. Second line midfield on for Syracuse. Roa, Burtwhistle, and Hoddle. A second line unit that's had to change a little bit this year with injuries. Burtwhistle out for the first couple games, and now Jake Stevens sideline. Roa loses the ball, pushed down to the turf. Cody Hart with a tight push, but Syracuse still has possession. Burtwhistle down low to Hiltz, and now the Orange attack have the ball. Spallina almost stationary behind the cage, reading the offense like a quarterback. Roa moves off ball, so does Muley. Hiltz sets a screen for a Hoddle, but Spallina still has the ball.
He's got to go now.
12 to shoot. Spallina to his strong side. Shoots low and scores. Just do it yourself, 22. Spallina's second goal of the game makes it 11-3 Orange. First goal of the second half.
I wish he did that more often. Joey Spallina is such a strong player, such a physical player that when he gets his body into the defender, he just generates so much space for himself. And it's not the greatest shot in the world, but just enough to get it past the goalie. Lensgold got a tip of it, but Joey Spallina I think he's got to be more aggressive, believe in himself, dodge more. Because yes, he's great behind the net, he's great feeding, but he can also do it himself.
If you ask him, what the best part of his game is, he'll say he's a pass-first guy. He loves dishing the ball out. But Joey Spallina leads Syracuse in goals this season with 13. Jordan Hyde begins Utah's possession. Ben Trask on the far sideline. A short stick defensive midfielder, widely heralded by Andrew McMinn coming into this game. He said he's the staple of the team's defense.
I mean, how often do you hear that about a freshman?
Zach White crosses into the zone. Righty sidewinder, right into Will Mark's stick. White tried to go in between Mark's legs, but Mark just flipped his stick right upside down and made the save.
He is absolutely locked in right now.
Both goalies are really standing on their heads early on. Syracuse gets its first line midfield out. Leo, English, and Thompson. That's a unit that hasn't had to change much this year. All three guys have been active for each game this season. Spallina, there's a long stick standing in the goal mouth that's face guarding Spallina. Sam English dips it off to Thompson. His shot misses high. Spallina's there to restart the offense.
I like that look low. Those are the type of plays that you don't see many teams run, but Syracuse will just because of the skill and tight passing. Didn't work there, but I like the look.
Muley rings it off the pipe. Rolls towards the sideline. Leo has it for Syracuse.
Muley just can't catch a break today.
No. Muley, 7 shots and just 1 goal. Spallina, rather Thompson, into the top right corner. From below the cage like Spallina, Thompson rolls to his strong side and finds the top shelf. Syracuse is rolling here in the second half. Finn Thompson scores the second goal of the period for the Cuse. The Orange up 12-3 in a Wednesday matinee. Syracuse dominating in this game mostly because of the face-off battle. The Orange have won 14 of the 17 face-offs. Johnny Mullen, one of those guys for Syracuse. He's taken 4 of them, and he's won 3 early on. The starter Mason Cohn, 11 of 13. But look at John Mullen pregame. This was him during warm-ups. Granted, this is around like 10:30 in the morning. John Mullen laying down on the turf here in the Dome, going through visualizations. So much so that his teammates, they had to play catch. That's Will Mark on the near sideline playing catch right over his body, laying on the football 45-yard line. Hey, whatever gets it done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lacrosse is such a mental game. I don't think people talk about that enough. How much of just like a mind battle the sport is sometimes. And so many guys rely on that visualization.
Reminds me of hockey goalies before a game. Ryan Miller, the old Buffalo Sabres goalie, he would sit on the bench with his stick and just stare at the ice for about 20 minutes. Look, sports. That's all I got to say. Utah won the last face-off, and now Cade Faulkner has the ball. Cody Hart. Down low to Hyde. Swung up top to Cody Hart. Face guarded by Carter Rice, the short stick. Hart on his strong side, looking for options. Sends it down low to the X-Man, Ryan Steins. The long stick to Kay Milano. Steins with some space. Backs down the veteran defender. Kicks it out to Faulkner. Straight away. Spins to the left. Behind the back pass from Steins. Utah moving the ball quickly, but Syracuse sniffs it out. Billy Dwan passes back to his goalie, Will Mark. Syracuse causes the turnover and successfully clears.
That was awesome team defense from the Orange.
How about this? Jake Spallina, he scores! Goal number 1 for number 1. Jake Spallina scores his first goal.
I mean, how special is that for Jake Spallina? Goes down the middle of the field. Great placement there. Bottom of the right corner. I mean, that's a perfect shot there from a team midi. That's exactly what you want to see. And look at Joey Spallina here. You could not find a more happier guy. This entire bench just so thrilled to see the freshman short stick midi score the goal.
Jake getting mobbed by his teammates. 5 goals into his collegiate career. The number 49 recruit in the nation from Mount Sinai, New York. Yeah, take some heavy breaths, dude. And Joey, you can smile as well.
You can see the smile on the faces of all the coaches as well. That's just awesome to see.
We talked about this earlier. Jake Spallina, he made some solid plays on Syracuse's ride, and it turns into points. How about turning into points? Oh, Matt Wright almost found the back of the net. Colin Lenskold make the stop. But Jake Spallina had some great stops on the ride, allowed SU to flip the field, and he's almost rewarded with it, getting his first career goal.
Absolutely, that is it. You are rewarded. It's kind of hard sometimes to be a short stick teammate because you want to be on offense. You have that short stick, you want to be scoring goals, so you got to take advantage of those opportunities. He does it there. A great job to break the ride, and then he kind of just realized, oh my gosh, I have so much room here, and gets the goal.
So the Utes are back on offense with MJ McMahon. Zach White, sophomore midfielder. Zip down low to Bradburn. The Toronto Award watch lister. The only member of the Atlantic Sun on that Toronto Award watch list. Finds White. Steins. Spins. Right hand above left. His shot bounces off the post. McMahon trails the play. Utah has not scored in this half. They haven't scored since the first quarter. McMahon at X. Face guarded by the long stick Billy Dwan. Hardly any room for the 5'6" senior attacker against the 6'4" sophomore D-man. McMahon still spinning. Lefty sideliner misses high. About 40 seconds to shoot here for Utah so they can continue to run their offense, which Adam so far has been running guns, slamming the gas pedal.
Yeah, it's just taking a lot of shots, trying to get as many on cage as possible, but Will Mark has been so good.
White's pass falls out of Steins' stick, but the Utes keep possession. Moyer has a long stick Matt Wright on him. Steins straight away. Will Mark saw it the whole way. Throws it up to Billy Dwan, who shovels it off to Spallina. What a crafty pass. Spallina to Mouet. One too many passes. Looking for Owen Hilton, had a wide open shot on cage.
Just go to goal there. You love to see the extra pass. You love to see that teamwork, but I think you just got to go to goal when you have the chance.
There's one thing about this Syracuse team, whether it's for good or bad, they're unselfish. Three minutes to go here in the third. 13-3. Number 3, Cody Hart has the ball. Carter Rice, the short stick team, Indiana. Low pass, but the Utes still keep possession. Bradbury finds Moyer. Standing straight away, his shot tipped by Mark. Brand new shot clock at 60.
These Syracuse polls have done such a good job of not getting beat on what Paul Carcaterra likes to call speed dodges.
Yeah.
When a guy tries to run right past you, because the Orange have the size advantage, they have the strength advantage, but not necessarily that speed advantage. These little guys are always really fast. That's why they're playing at this Division I level, even though they're just 5'6", 5'7", but the Orange have been able to keep up.
Cody Hart's shot stopped by Mark again. Will Mark, a 79% save percentage. Utah still hasn't scored since the first quarter. Syracuse 7 goals in the first, 3 in the second, and 3 in the third. First line midfield out for the Cuse. English on the far side to Spallina. Now let's watch the off-ball movement again. Like the The Statue of Liberty, Spallina back there.
Muley has a shorty on him. Michael Leo told him to get out. I think they want him to attack that shorty dodge. We haven't seen Muley dodge much at all this year. I'd like to see him get the opportunity.
15 now. Thompson gets pushed. No flag. Leo double team. 10 to shoot. Hiltz, English with 5. Spins to the right. Might just have to give up. And he does. Shot clock violation. Utah locked up those cutting lanes in front so that Spallina couldn't pass to anyone dodging.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Syracuse offense try and be more aggressive and try and rely a little bit more on the dodge on the offensive end, because teams like Maryland, they will not give up goals on those off-ball situations because they're so good at that. That's kind of what separates your good from your great defenses. So you gotta beat guys off dodges if you want to win big games. Syracuse has struggled to do that at times this season. I think a game like this, when you're up by 10, it's the perfect opportunity to get Christian Muley going, to get Finn Thompson going, to get your guys dodging well.
Swing dodge from Faulkner. 5 seconds to play in the quarter. No room. Bradbury, his shot misses. And that'll end it for the third quarter. Will Mark and Syracuse's defense have been stellar throughout this entire game. But the Orange haven't allowed a goal since the first 15 minutes. Syracuse up 13-3. Much in large part to Jake Spallina's first career goal.
How unbelievable is it that we have these games this early in the season, so many awesome ones, and it's still just the middle of February.
This game not too shabby either, with the reigning A-Sun champions going up against the number 6 team in the country. Now, this game is played here on a Wednesday at noon. Originally, this game was supposed to be at 12:30. But get this, Utah's flight today was supposed to be at 4:35. That got bumped up to 4:05. So they said, hey guys, Syracuse, can we shift this game up? And the Orange obliged. But that means that when this game's over, I bet Utah might leave before we do. They got to catch that flight.
I can't imagine having to take a flight after playing a whole lacrosse game right away. You're sore, you just got hit. That's not easy.
And you're flying commercial, too.
Cross country as well.
Does United Airlines have ice baths? I don't know. Bradbury swings it. Oh, a swim dodge from Hyde. Flag flies in the air. It looked like the ball went in the back of the net as Will Mark looked behind him.
I wonder if we're going to get a slash before the shot. And then there's also the conversation of, I think he might have stepped in the crease before he got it off. Doesn't look like he stepped in the crease.
And you see Vinny Trujillo's stick towards the right side. The officials are really deliberating this one.
I'm not sure what they're looking at here, whether it's the goal or not, or if it's the flag.
Call on the field, it's a good goal.
That is outrageous.
The flag is wiped out. We got a face off. We're all
That is horrible. That is horrible.
Maybe when the helmet comes up, you stop.
Hey,
Not the rule. It's the new rule. Is it not?
Yeah, so Ryan Steins, his helmet went off. He was in the far alley. His helmet got knocked up. He then pulled it back down. That's what the Syracuse coaches are so upset about, because we talked about this earlier. When the helmet comes off, the players are supposed to go off the field right away and not return until there's a dead ball. So his helmet flew up. That play probably should have been blown dead before, but it continued on, and that's what the Syracuse coaches are so upset about, not anything around the goal itself.
You can clearly hear their displeasure. The Utah scores for the first time since the fourth quarter. Officials call a hold on Mason Cone. But the Syracuse coaching staff will need some tea or cough drops after this one, even though their squad's up 9. White inside to McMahon. Utah has held possession for the entire part of this fourth quarter. Granted, only a minute and a half. But Utah has won 6 faceoffs compared to Syracuse's 15. Steins, lefty sideliner misses. And Jordan Hyde's there to clean up the mess. 2 straight goals for the Utes. 13-5, Orange still on top.
We've seen now both of these goals come in similar situations where Utah realizes there's a bit of chaos going on and decides, we got to go now. We got to attack the goal. And it works. When you're playing in a game like this with how good Syracuse is playing on the defensive end, you got to take advantage of the unsettled situations. That ball goes off the post. Guys lose their men, and Jordan Hyde just takes advantage of it.
Third goal of the game for Hyde. He's Utah's all-time leading scorer with 112 goals. He's the only player in Utes history to have 100 or more goals. Back at the face-off X, a contentious spot so far in this fourth quarter. Mason Cone wins it, raises into the zone. Spallina rips it into the back of the net. SU answers right away with a face-off win and a goal.
Of course, this all starts off with the face-off win and how Mason Cone has just been so dynamic in everything that he's done this year. The almost no-look pass the entire time. It looks like he's going to get the shot off, then gives it to Spallina. And for Joey there to mix up the angle on that shot, that's been the issue with the Syracuse offense the entire game, telegraphing them all the time. But now Joey Spallina realizes he's got to change it, so it goes high to low, and that's what works.
Mason Cone picks up his 5th assist of the season. Flag flies on the face-off. It's going against Syracuse.
Cone had just 3 assists in his 2 years at Tufts.
Syracuse is headed the man down.
The Syracuse coaches are saying that's just the 2nd violation. The refs say it's the 3rd. On the 3rd, that's when it's the technical 30.
Well, offensive coordinator Pat March clearly in disagreement. Let's see how the Utes work here in the man up. 0 for 7 on the season. While Syracuse on the man down is 63%. Outside of the top 40 in the country.
And it's still just a weird man down unit to do an entire substitution of everyone who was on the field before it comes off the field. It's just weird. You don't see it very often.
Utah tries a hidden ball trick, but Syracuse sniffs it out. Penalties released. Utah now 0 of 8 on the man up this season.
And the issue with running that special group on defense for the man down is now you're playing 6-on-6 with guys who haven't seen the game once.
McMahon picks up the loose shot from DeMarzo, creates some space, backpedals, lefty shot. Mark makes the save, dropping down to a knee, and clears up that bottom right corner.
It's an awesome save by Will Mark. He was kind of screened on that shot. Didn't see it until the last second, but got that stick in the way. It's perfect.
Jake Titus clears for Syracuse. The 5th-year short stick defensive midi from Union College. Syracuse still rolling out its top line midfield with English, Leo, and Thompson.
I think with some of the issues we've seen with stick skills, we're going to see these number ones in pretty much the entire game.
Thompson to Spallina. Gets a right screen, and now has the short stick on him. Let's see if Spallina can cook. The short stick is Freddie DiMarzo, a junior midfielder. Spallina dishes it off. Thompson doesn't shoot. Shovels it back to Spallina. DiMarzo still on 22. Spallina pushed in the back. Back pedals outside of the restraining zone. Leo. His pass to Hiltz, intercepted by the long stick, Joey Boylston. Hiltz ducked out of the way for him. Here come the Utes. The ball doesn't land in Hyde's stick. Goes out of bounds, and the Orange will take over.
And Cuse is lucky there that they didn't give up a goal, because you should have scored on the offensive end when you got Joey Spallina going up against a short stick. And then another telegraph pass stolen away. Utah had a 5-on-3 and couldn't convert because those stick skill issues that we've seen on the Ute side today.
Muley has it. Going up against Cody Hart. Muley to Thompson on the doorstep. Lexgold makes the save. What a stop from Colin Lexgold. That allows Utah to clear. Cody Hart double teamed. Doesn't matter. Beats Will Mark between the legs. And the Utes trail 14-6. A stop on the defensive side turns into offense on the other.
Just great job there to run the fast break after turning it over last time. Cody Hart says, you know what, I'll just do it myself here. And a nice job, the high to low shot. That's where we've seen success today. Both these goalies are really good. Two of the best keepers in their respective conferences, so you have to mix things up when you're shooting. You got to go high to low. You got to go low to high. I feel like I can't harp on this enough because we've seen so many times in this game where a shot is just telegraphed. It's an easy save. Mark and Lexgold just don't even have to move their sticks. We're seeing the success, though, when they go high to low.
When you look at what Will Mark accomplished last season with his first year at Syracuse, when he got beat, it was because teams were shooting low to high on him or mixing up their shot selections. And Utah's done a solid job of that today. Even though Will Marks had a sensational day, stopping 68% of his shots, when Utah has found the back of the net, it's been some creative offense.
Especially against Will Mark. You have to mix it up because he's 6'4". If he sees you go low, he's got to kind of cheat down a little bit. Get ready for the low shot. You got to just mix up those angles. That's how you beat good goalies.
Jackson Burtwistle, who scored the first goal in today's game, can't find the back of the net there. Lexgold drops down to make the stop.
And a low-to-low shot. You see it time and time again. These goalies are too good to not mix up the angle.
Luca Pivetta, his pass is successful to Bryce Horton. And now the Utes can start up their offense again. 3 goals in the first quarter and 3 goals in the last 5 minutes. That shot tipped in front, almost squeaked in. Jordan Hyde races to the end line. Utah calls a timeout. The Utes almost lost possession behind the cage. Well, the Utes, they are screaming here in the fourth quarter, trying to get back in this game. Coming into this season, Utah is the cream of the crop in the Atlantic Sun. Preseason pick to win the entire conference at.
Yeah, and this is a Utah program that has just gotten better and better every single year, and a team that is built the right way. I love the culture that Andrew McMinn has built around this squad, bringing in guys who are local to Utah and also going nationally. A couple guys from Georgia, North Carolina, all over the place. This is a program that has just been on the up and up every single year, on the rise, making the NCAA tournament for the first time last season.
You talk about all over the place, and the Atlantic Sun, they have teams pretty much in every hotspot in the country. Jacksonville, teams in the Midwest, in Ohio and Michigan, and Utah, the westernmost Division I program. Air Force and Lindenwood sprinkled in the middle there as well. Kate Faulkner rips one off the crossbar. Utes have a fresh 60.
It doesn't really fit the name of the Atlantic Sun when you have Utah in there.
Well, hey, I mean, Syracuse is about to be in an Atlantic Coast Conference with California, Southern Methodist, in Stanford. I mean, the All-Coast Conference, I guess?
You got, 20 teams in the Big Ten?
Oh, my goodness. Will Mark makes a big-time save right there. Syracuse begins the clear. And that's the thing, we were talking with Andrew McMinn. He was joking about how, he's in a Power 5 conference with Utah being in the Pac-12. It's about to be Power 4, but I was thinking in my head, the Atlantic Sun, Utah Lacrosse doesn't have to worry about all this conference realignment. Syracuse still rolling with its starters on offense, up 8 with under 8 to play. Thompson straight away, finds Hiltz, zip to Spallina below the cage. SU trying to get some off-ball movement to free up a lane. Spallina really wants to distribute this ball. He's hardly moved back there. Pass in front, and a score! Patience is a virtue. Sam English finds the back of the net for the 5th time this season.
You said it, Joe. Patience is key. That's everything when you're running this type of offense, when you're forcing these off balls, because Utah did a great job on that possession. I can't give enough credit to the Utes for just how good of a job that they were doing face guarding, but eventually someone is going to find room. Someone is going to get free space, because that's just how this offense is. There's so many guys, you try and keep track of everyone. Eventually, with all the different screens and all the different movement, someone is going to be free, and in this case, it was Sam English.
The matchup between Spallina and DePonio has been an interesting one today. The long stick that has gone up against Spallina, but he's hardly had to move because Spallina stands flat-footed below the cage. Johnny Mullen's shot misses high. He was going through those visualizations before the game today. He heads off to the sideline as Syracuse continues on offense. But Spallina versus DePonio, it was a matchup that we thought was going to be something of grand importance during today's game, but with Spallina just standing below cage, being more of a distributor, that matchup hasn't been there. Quick stick goal. That time you don't have to be patient. Jackson Burtwhistle scores for the 2nd time today. SU back up 10.
And that's more of what I want to see in this Syracuse offense, because it all starts on a bit of a dodge. It's not a dodge towards goal necessarily by Christian Muley, but it's a dodge to get the offense going. It's to get the movement there, because as much of the off-ball movement as you can rely on, you also have to have guys with the ball in their stick getting stuff done. And there, it all starts with that movement from Muley, and then later on, Burtwhistle gets lost in it.
Jimmy McCool in net now for Syracuse, which means that Will Mark's day is done. Jimmy McCool, the sophomore goalie from Boston, he's had 5 saves on 5 shots this season. It's got to be Nate, the best name in college lacrosse, don't you think?
It's got to be
good
up
ones
there.
out there.
It's got to be up there.
Will Mark today, 14 saves on 20 shots, a 70% save percentage. He came into today stopping 53% of the shots he's seen. Solid day for the NCAA's active all-time saves leader. Let's see if the Utes can solve Jimmy McCool. Hart backpedals into the zone to White. Straight away, he finds the back of the net. A creative entry for the Utes puts Utah back on the scoreboard. Look at this backpedal here from Hart.
I love that, to continue to keep your eyes up. You're working in transition, and then again, it's mixing up that shot angle. That's a great shot there from Zach White to draw on the defense. He kind of fakes a pass for a second, almost draws the slide, and then he has the room because of the off-ball look, and then he gets the shot off and a nice one to get it past Jimmy McCool, who Gary Gate continues to praise time and time again. Before the season, when we would ask him who's a player to look out for, he wouldn't say anyone who you'd expect to play significant minutes. He would say the backup goalie in Jimmy McCool.
So McCool gives up his first goal of the season. He's seen 6 shots early on. Mason Cone wins the faceoff, races into the zone. He wants more than a faceoff win. He wants a goal. The 4th of the year for Syracuse's faceoff specialist. And SU answers right back. Look at this. Wins the faceoff at 47. The ball goes in the back of the net at 39.
I don't know how he does it. Mason Cone is 1 point away from his total last season. He had 10 points last year, 11 in his career at Tufts in 2 seasons. And he has 9 points already this year. It's unbelievable how much he has improved while moving a step up to the Division I level. He's got the size to be a D1 athlete, and that's what Gary Gate says. There was never any doubt that his skill would translate because he has that size, and his reaction time is just that good. He wins the initial clamp almost every single time when he's playing a team like Utah. And Utah's got some good Fogos. They've been a little bit unlucky playing 3 of the best face-off teams in the country, in Ohio State, Denver, and now Syracuse. But you got to give all the credit in the world here to the Oranges Fogos, because they're doing a better job than Ohio State did, than Denver did.
Yeah, when we talked to Coach McMinn before the game, we asked him about the face-off numbers, which aren't the best coming into the season for Utah. He said it's not really about us. It's about the competition that we faced. They've gone up against Ohio State, Denver, and Syracuse, who have dominated them at the face-off. That's just because they're solid face-off teams. Johnny Mullen won this most recent face-off to allow Syracuse to start on offense. English swims by a defender, spins back, got a long stick now on him, getting poked. English whips it on Cage, and Lenskol makes the save. Rebound, behind the back goal. Put that one on the highlight reel. Christian Muley scores his 2nd goal of the game.
Those are the type of offensive possessions that I've just been waiting to see. I almost want this team to be a little bit more selfish at times, because there's so much focus on the ball movement, but they also have some elite dodgers, and there it's Sam English who does it, and he's so good. He gets that shot on Cage that it opens up the opportunities for rebounds, and then the behind the back there from Christian Muley. I don't think anyone was expecting it. He places it well. Sometimes you don't want your guys to force it, but he does it in that moment where it's good enough because no one was expecting it.
2nd team All-Patriot Leaguer last year with Lehigh. And in the season last year, he had 14 multi-point games. Christian Muley right now with 2 goals and 2 assists today. Muley has the ball right now, getting hounded by 2 long sticks. He finds Burt Whistle. Whistle sound, and Gary Gate will call a timeout. Syracuse, the number 6 team in the country, continuing this home slate here in the Dome. They've got 2 more home games, Army and High Point, coming up right here on ACC Network Extra before hitting the road to 2 top 15 squads.
I mean, it's unbelievable what the schedule is for Syracuse. You see so many ranked opponents, and after this, it doesn't get any better, because that doesn't include UNC and Virginia and Notre Dame. Just the amount of talent that Syracuse is going to have to play this year is absurd. And I mean, it all starts again against Army after the Orange fell in the first-ranked matchup of the year against Maryland. I think that game, I don't want to call it a must-win, but it's really important to prove that you can win these big games after losing the first one to the Terps.
Right, because Syracuse was talking about, they could have won some of that game against Maryland last time out. Utah, they have this experience against Syracuse one of the biggest games in program history here in the Dome against the number 6 team in the country. Utah's got another tough non-conference game at home against Vermont at Ute Field on Saturday.
I think that's going to be a really exciting game and just a good game overall. Utah, I think, is looking forward to not facing a top 20 team, but Vermont is no slouch. You know, we saw them be a little bit competitive at times in the Syracuse game to start the season, just beat Manhattan back on Saturday. So I think that's going to be a really fun game and a chance for Utah to kind of see what all of this struggles at the start of the season, to see what that's for, because you don't play these games at the start of the year expecting to win all of them.
Yeah,
you play them to prepare yourself for A-Sun play and for the rest of the games, like games against Vermont.
And that's a testament to this program. Coach McMinn said we've had some really quick growth in 6 years. The non-conference schedule: Ohio State, Denver, Syracuse, Vermont, and Marquette. Marquette, not a top 20 team in the land, but coming from the Big East, one of the lacrosse powerhouse conferences, before playing in their conference against teams like Air Force, Bellarmine, and Detroit Mercy. Syracuse rolling with some backups here. Brett Tenaglia on the near side. Spins to his left, has some space, but dishes off. A hold on Syracuse. Blake Earlbeck was cutting into the slot. Going to cause turnover. Utah attempts to flip the field. Tyler Shifko beats Trey Deer. Allows the Utes to start up on offense. Today being the first ever matchup between Syracuse and Utah. Syracuse is a perfect 6-0 against teams west of the Mississippi River. 2-0 against Air Force and 4-0 against Denver. And one of those Denver games includes the NCAA semifinals in Philadelphia. Loud check to Cade Faulkner. Ryan Steins below cage. Swings it around. Finds Faulkner near side. Races in. Left over right shot. Misses to the left side. Who won the race? Utah did. Ryan Steins was pushed down trying to dive for the ball. 10 to shoot, and Steins has it in the stick. At X. Rotates clockwise. Double team, shovels towards the net, misses. That's a shot clock violation.
So we've talked a lot about today the depth of the defensive mini room for Syracuse with some of the injuries. You see here in this part of the game where everyone else is the backups, the reserves, there's still D middies on who are getting regular minutes with the number 1 team.
As we mentioned earlier, Syracuse has its backups on the field right now. Charlie Craftston has the ball. So we talk about Syracuse 6-0 record against teams west of the Mississippi River. But how about this? Syracuse men's lacrosse is now just the second team that plays in the Dome here at Syracuse that has ever played Utah. Before this game today, men's basketball was the only sport that Syracuse has played against Utah, and that game was in 1951 when Syracuse beat Utah 74-57.
Wow. You would think at some point in some sport, probably basketball, that they would face each other, whether if it's in like an early season tournament or in the NCAA tournament, the NIT, some sense that they would play each other in some sport, and for it to be in the 50s.
Right. Utah doesn't have women's lacrosse, so that already knocks out one sport. Men's lacrosse playing in its first game against Sarah in this matchup, but men's basketball, women's basketball, football, only one game in those 3 sports combined. Utah burns its final timeout. They're going on offense. And if you look at Syracuse's offense today, boy, it has been a creative showing all around from all of its stars, including this hidden ball trick that got us up here in the booth.
You rarely see it be successful. They try it all the time, but when it works, it's just so fun. And the behind the back, the flashy plays in this Syracuse offense. I've seen some comparisons to like the Showtime Lakers. It doesn't matter what game you watch, they're going to have fun. They're going to impress you. You're going to see 2-3 plays a game, no matter what it is, that just has your mind blown.
Gary Gate, the head coach of this team, he is the one who promotes this. If you go back to Gary's playing days under Roy Simmons Jr., he was an artist. He was a creative mind. He said, you know what? I want Gary and Paul to just be these creative offensive players. They play box lacrosse. You have to shoot in different ways. Highlighted by Air Gate, one of the most, if the most iconic goal in lacrosse history. But Gary Gate has brought that playing style that Roy Simmons Jr. wanted his team to do. And then Gary Gate wants his team to do the exact same things.
Creativity is really, the base of this sport. I always think of like Lyle Thompson and the skill that he had.
Connor O'Neill is now in net for Utah after that timeout. Connor O'Neill has quite the Syracuse connection as well. His parents were both athletes here at Syracuse. Heather Chase for field hockey and Patrick O'Neill, a punter for Syracuse, who was drafted by the New England Patriots. Both of his parents playing here in the 90s.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. For him to grow up, they always say you bleed orange in Syracuse. Have your dad have played in this building, and then for you to be able to play in it yourself, it's an experience that I imagine O'Neill will never forget.
Yeah, and his parents, they weren't just, players on the team that logged time. Connor O'Neill was a 1995, or rather his dad, Pat, was a 1995 Big East first teamer, and he was a member of Syracuse football's all-century team as a punter. His mom, Heather, was a Big East first teamer as well. Utah with one last stab in this East versus West battle. Grandstaff, his pass falls out of the stick, and that does it. Syracuse wins 18-7 over Utah in the first ever battle between the Orange and the Utes. SU balloons to 4-1 on the early season.
Not a perfect game today for Syracuse. A lot of stuff that's got to be worked on, but to win a game like this by 11 against a Utah team that has really challenged Ohio State and Denver, I think says a lot. To do this even when you're not playing your best lacrosse.
Both teams had energy and emotion playing at Wednesday at noon and 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Syracuse, the winners today, 18-7. For everyone here at the ACC Network, including Kristen Hennessy and Adam Gotkin, I'm Joe Puccio, signing off from the Dome. The Orange, 18-7 winners over the Utes.